Hey guys, it's Lance at Max Sound Solutions, and today we're doing another NVMe Enclosure review. But wait, don't click away just yet. This thing is really impressive. This is from Acasis. They sent it over to me for free to do the video. I have a link down in the video description if you want to get in early on the Kickstarter and save quite a bit off the retail price. So click the Notify Me on Launch button and you'll get an email letting you know when they go live on Kickstarter. And it holds up to 4 NVMe drives, and it has 2 Thunderbolt 80 gigabit ports plus the host port. And I was able to connect 2 displays along with the 4 NVMe's connected at the same time, both running at 120 Hertz. And what's unique about this enclosure is it has PCIe lane switching. So even though you only have a single Thunderbolt 5 connection, you can see I'm writing to the 2 separate Samsung 990 Pros at the same time with 2 instances of the Blackmagic speed test, and I am getting full speeds. Now I'm testing all 4 NVMe's at once. The top 2 are the Samsung 990 Pros. The bottom 2 are the slower Team Group NVMe's, but you can see we're still getting really good speeds considering we're writing to 4 drives simultaneously over a single Thunderbolt 5 port on the Mac Mini. That is impressive, but Blackmagic speed test is not really that thorough, so we're going to use Amorphous Disk Mark and test all 4 drives at the same time. So we've got the 2 Samsungs and the 2 Team Groups. The Team Groups do not perform as fast as the Samsungs. That much we already know. They're quite a bit cheaper as well. And you can see the temps have gone up a little bit, but they are still performing really well. They're not throttling, and we got really good speeds. So enough with the benchmarks, we're going to do a real-world writing test. This is a real-time test copying a 100 gig video file to 2 of the Samsung 990 drives simultaneously, and one is coming from my internal Mac Mini SSD and one is coming from an external Western Digital. So they're off to the races, and they're both getting about 3.15 gigabytes per second on this transfer, and you can see boom, one's done. Boom, the other one's done. 100 gigs in a very short amount of time simultaneously. And I did get better speeds when I just transferred directly to a single Samsung 990 Pro. I was getting around 4.5 gigs per second. So yes, it's faster writing to a single drive, but to have 2 drives writing at that speed at the same time, that's impressive. Okay, now we're going to try and max this thing out, and I'm going to copy 300 gigabytes to each of the NVMe's from an external Thunderbolt 5 enclosure. So it's external Thunderbolt 5 on one port on the Mac Mini M4 Pro, writing to all the drives on the TB504. And as you can see, we're getting a very consistent 1.3 gigabytes per second on each drive. And of course, you're only going to get so much speed out of a single Thunderbolt connection. And there was no thermal throttling. It held that speed right up until the transfer was done. And the temps never went over 60 Celsius thanks to the huge heat sink. And I'm not going to lie, this thing gets hot. I've seen it go all the way up to 110 Fahrenheit, so hot to the touch. But that's what it is, a giant heat sink pulling the heat away from the drives. So it's to be expected that the enclosure gets hot. It's dead silent, no fan, and I'll take that any day over a noisy enclosure. Okay, now we're going to copy from the Macintosh HD 4 terabyte internal SSD 2 times to the 2 Samsungs, and then I'm going to go from my Western Digital on Thunderbolt 5 single enclosure to the 2 Team Groups. And we'll see what kind of speeds we're getting. We're getting about 2.2 gigs per second on both the Samsungs, and we're getting 1.1 and under a gig on the last NVMe. So we're pushing 6 gigabytes per second through a single Thunderbolt 5 connection writing to the 4 drives, which is way beyond Thunderbolt 4, but still not the full theoretical Thunderbolt 5 ceiling, which is 80 gigabits per second. But it's normal to be maxed out at 6 gigabytes per second. due to overhead and limitations of the Thunderbolt 5 bus. And just to prove a point, I created a RAID 0, and when I did that, I was still getting the max 6,000 megabytes per second read and write. The only way to get more bandwidth is to use 2 Thunderbolt connections and 2 enclosures. Then you can almost double your 6,000 megabytes per second to say 10,000. And I wanted to check out the external 80 gigabit port with a single Thunderbolt 5 enclosure, the TB501 by Acasis, and you can see that we're getting pretty much the same read speeds, but it is a little slower on the write speeds when connected to this enclosure and having all of the internal NVMe's mounted. I really like this enclosure. It's got to be one of the best out there as far as looks go, and the fact there's no fan, it's just a giant heat sink. I really like that about it. It never went over into thermal throttle land. You know, the highest peak I ever saw was 70 Celsius, but most of the time the temps were in the 50s and 60s, which is totally normal. And the unit itself, when you put your hand on it, if you're working it a lot, like all day long, it's going to get hot. But that's the whole point. It's a giant heat sink. It's fanless. You can have this thing right on your desk, right next to you, and you're not going to hear a sound coming out of it. So I really like that about it. And the design, I think, is awesome. So thumbs up to Acasis. Thanks for sending it over. I'm going to be doing a review on their other unit, the TB504 Air. So stay tuned for that. And they also have the TB504 Pro, which has 10 NVMe slots. So these are really geared towards the pro market, and they're not cheap, but their high quality build makes up for it. And they have the capability of doing RAID 0, RAID 1, and RAID 10, all the way up to 32 terabytes of storage, plus you get the extra 2 ports on the back. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that I could put my Mac Mini to sleep with these drives mounted and they did not get ejected. That used to happen a lot with a lot of other enclosures with a NVMe drive, but not this. I think due to the hefty power supply that this has, they actually do go to sleep. The whole drive goes dark, and then when you tap on the spacebar to wake up the computer, the drive's mounted instantly and therefore mounted before the computer had time to get itself turned on. So there they are. They all are mounted, no errors, no ejects. That's a big plus. So check them out on Kickstarter and get in on the early bird special. Link in the description. And if you're just looking for a single Thunderbolt 5 enclosure, look no further than the TB501 Pro. I've been using that for a long time. I have 2 of them. They're excellent enclosures. They have a built-in fan which is switchable, and they've been extremely reliable and super fast. Acasis has all kinds of enclosures and hubs, so check out their stuff on their website. Links down below. All right, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, give me that thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next Mac Sound Solutions video.